General Studies Paper 3, Environment. So, environment, as I said in Paper 3, standard 60 to 65 marks come in out of 250. See, generally the questions set in environment are of the what is happening in the present context. So, they are all current events related. And in environment, you should prepare for the dynamic part. So, as I said earlier, the best source of information for preparing for environment, go to the annual report of the Ministry of Environment and Forests, download the latest annual report. So that will give you a lot of information and it does not take much time to read. Besides this, standard articles in the Hindu will also help. See, when you preliminary, there's a unit on environment. So when you're preparing for the prelim, you're almost simultaneously preparing for the main. Except mains, you are preparing for writing for a 200 word. See the question for discussion. The LG Polymers accident raises issues of culpability and industrial planning. Suggest measures for safety and effective industrial management. 150 words. Read the question again. The LG Polymers accident raises issues of culpability and industrial planning. Suggests measures for safety and effective industrial management. So before we go into the question, a brief background. See the major environmental disasters. We mentioned the Bhopal gas tragedy and the oleum gas leak in Delhi. The result of these two were the Factories Act was amended in 1987, providing for safety committees at the workplace and provision of medical facilities. Just a brief introduction, then we come to the main part of the question. The LG Polymers accident in Visakhapatnam resulted in 11 deaths and evacuation of nearly 3,000 residents in the vicinity. The accident raised the issue of changes in occupational safety on the line of global practices. So this is the introduction to your answer. Now go straight away to the question. Suggest measures for safety and effective industrial management. See, the first thing which I would suggest is material safety data to be available to the employees, local authorities, and the public, which contain inputs on transmission and storage. So, any plant dealing with manufacture of or transport of chemical products. So, the material safety data should be available to the employees who are working, to the local authorities, that is to the Gram Panchayat, municipalities, and to the public. These should contain inputs on transmission and storage, like what is being stored in the factory and how, and issues relating to transmission. Every employee should have a reckoner for chemical safety at the workplace. There should be a chemical safety guide. Hard and soft copies of materials at the workplace. What is being produced, what is being stored. The employees should be given a hard and soft copy. This is the most important thing. See, display of information on the chemicals manufactured. So the employees should know what chemicals are being manufactured, how are they being stored, and how are they being distributed. Now, this much information should be put on the company website, and the company should also share this information with the district administration. This is very important because any disaster, be it natural disaster, chemical disaster, whatever it is, the district administration plays a pivotal role in disaster management. So the district administration should be aware of what is going on in the concerned factory. So display of information on the chemicals manufactured, storage and transport on the company website. They should also find a place on the website of the district administration. Arrange for mock drills for the public in the surrounding areas. This is also a very important suggestion. Hospitals and doctors to be trained in disaster management, especially the hospitals which are situated on the periphery of the factory, chemical factory. Public outreach programs as a part of CSR. So the company should have the CSR programs, and they should intimate the public on what is happening. So through public outreach programs. Then finally, a local emergency alert system, which will alert the company employees, which will alert the public, which will alert the residents of the neighborhood. So we spoke of what measures could be taken. Now in the answer, you also highlight certain issues of concern. So what I'm trying to point out is India has not adopted the globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals. See, this is very important. See, this is part of the safety data system. So what is adopted worldwide, that is the globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals. This has not been adopted by India up to now. So this requires to be done on a war footing. Another crucial issue which I would like to highlight in the answer. See, when this LG Polymers accident happened, the case came up before the National Green Tribunal. So the National Green Tribunal, it found the company guilty of following unsafe practices, and it said it imposed the condition of strict liability. It imposed a fine of 50 crores on the company and said they are bound by the principle of strict liability. Now, this concept of strict liability which the National Green Tribunal put forth, this principle has been set aside by the Supreme Court in 1987. So in 1987, the Supreme Court said, that is in the case of the oleum gas leak, it said absolute liability for any disaster like this, the company is mandatorily bound to compensate. It said absolute liability is a part of Article 21. So the right to life and liberty includes absolute liability. So the company has to mandatorily compensate the victims. See, the concept of strict liability, what happens? The company can escape saying that the leak happened due to act of God or due to some natural disaster. Here in the principle of absolute liability, the company cannot say anything. It is bound to pay compensation. So absolute liability, the Supreme Court upheld in 1987, and it said the company has to pay compensation. It cannot take the backdoor route of saying that it was an act of God or something caused by changes in the climate. No, the company is mandatorily, it has to pay compensation, absolute liability. And the beauty of it is absolute liability has been made a part of Article 21, that is right to life and liberty. So this is how you would be analyzing the question for the answer for 150 words. In 150 words, what are you going to, how are you going to present your answer would be, first, in brief, say about 2 sentences only on the LG Polymers accident, the casualties, then the deaths, then the accident, what it raised the issue of changes in occupational safety. Then you highlight what measures are required. We spoke of material safety data. We said all information relating to the company on the information should be put on the company website. shared with the district administration. Then I said security drills, mock drills, public outreach programs, then training the hospitals which are in the periphery of the factory on disaster management. Then we also said to activate the local emergency alert system. These are the technical points which you can highlight as measures for safety and effective industrial management. Finally, I spoke of the issues of concern. The first important thing would be how India has not adopted the globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals. This is done worldwide. We have not adopted this. And I also said the controversy regarding absolute liability, strict liability. When the Supreme Court has said absolute liability is a part of Article 21 and held the manufacturer to mandatorily pay compensation, the NGT has gone by the principle of strict liability. Strict liability is one thing which the Supreme Court said was redundant in the present. Now, under the concept of strict liability, as I said, the manufacturer can always take the back route saying that the escape of gas or whatever happened due to an act of God or due to a natural disaster. Here, in the concept of absolute liability, the company is bound to pay compensation. So, these are the things which have to be highlighted in the answer. So, in your answer, apart from giving the standard measures, you also highlight the current issues, especially the stand of the NGT, stand of the Supreme Court. So by answering a question like this for 150 words, you would have analyzed the current issues relating to environment.